Whoa, what the fast is up, pimps and players? Bring it in, everybody. It's Sherlock Fresco here with another champion preview. This time this is called A Wonder Above, and we are looking at possibly a Bard champion. Now let's just take a look at this teaser and what Riot have given us so far. So the first page, there's a lot of writing here. It says stories are not just history. They can be so much more. They nourish your mind and... I don't want to read. Do you want to read? I don't want to read. I ain't here to read. I'm here to play games. So on this page, there's really nothing. It's just talking about the Bards, how they like to tell stories. Their first rule: facts may be important, but they aren't as vital as telling the story. Stories are everywhere. We build them from what we see. Even the sky above whispers to us. Note that if the sky whispers to you, you've got problems. You need to go and see a doctor. And here we have... There was a time not long ago when this constellation was absent from the sky. It was gone from the sky. Some call it the Mountain Shines, or the Great Caretaker. Those of us from the floating villages know of an older name, a name that speaks of a universal truth. The name we took to our kind, the Bards. Now this is where the real information is at right now. Bam, bam, bam. This icon is the icon that we saw on the PBE. There's about 6 of them scattered throughout the League of Legends map, this exact icon. Now this icon is... from the Bards. This is the Bard speaking with the text, and he's saying this is an owl icon that speaks about us, the Bards. So the Bard isn't just one person, it's a community of people. Like, it's a group of people that live upon these floating villages. Now if we look at the background, you can see there's these mountains above the clouds. So apparently the Bards, the community of Bards, all lives on top of these mountaintops above the clouds. That's why they're called the floating villages, which is why they know all about the constellation. They can see the night sky through the clouds because they're above them. And yeah, that's why they use the constellation. So with this bloody frickin' constellation image, we finally have some evidence that links it to, I don't know, other teasers, because we saw this same exact beautiful icon all throughout League of Legends map. As we go through these pictures right now, you should be able to see them. They were scattered all over the rift. So here's where the theory crafting comes in. Why are they on the League of Legends map? Will the Bard be able to transport, teleport even, to these different locations? Will the Bard get extra buffs if he's near these locations? Will he be able to collect items from these locations? I have no idea what this champion will do. But so far with this preview and those icons on the map of League of Legends that we had no idea what they were, now, you know, it's starting to link together. It's starting to come together. The Mountain Shrines, or the Great Caretakers. These Bards. Now it's time to, you know, theorize about what the Bard could be. By the looks of it, they do tell stories. I think that's a Bard down there in the background telling the story to the 3 children. He looks like he doesn't have much armor on. Maybe has a gun there or something. Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't think it'll be the typical Bard like Jimmy from South Park. I don't think it's just gonna play music. I think he'll have a weapon of some sort, but it'll be very interesting. But let's move on to page 2 and get away from the crazies. But just take a look at the backdrop. As you can see, we've got the stars up there in the sky. That's going to be very important. We've got the clouds and these mountaintops rising above the clouds. And there down the bottom we have 3 little children and 1 old guy that looks like he's homeless. This is not weird. He is a Bard telling stories to the new generation of Bard children. Now we'll move on. Here we have the constellation. Now if you don't know what a constellation is, you're stupid. Get in school. But it's pretty much when you look up in the sky and you see the stars and planets and you join those dots and create a shape or whatever. Just like the Watchers here. Now, the Watchers look towards the Frozen Watcher. The Watchers were these weird little things which controlled the Freljord, you know, they're tied into Lyssandra's lore. They're very important in the lore of the Freljord, and they're in Aram as well, the Howling Abyss. There's a lot of lore about the Watchers, and this is the first time we've actually seen them. As you can see, they have 6 hands because they're really fucking weird. Whatever. Summer's grip loosens, winter's herald dominates the night skies. A horde of these strange creatures, the Watchers, once enslaved the tribes of the Freljord. They did. They enslaved the entire Freljord, controlled it all. They smothered Valorant under glaciers and cast a shadow upon all of Runeterra. The Frozen Watcher signals the end of the harvest. It reminds us we must all be prepared to endure the winter's lash. Now, here's why I think there's 4 different seasons. You're gonna see, but just think of this, the Watchers and the Freljord, as the winter season. Now, this is obviously a big event. The Freljord is a big thing. It's big in the lore. And we've got another one. Bam! Shurima. As you can see, the fall of Shurima. A cloud of smoldering destruction hangs in the night sky. This is the fall of Shurima. Now, Shurima, obviously, it's a desert. It's the opposite of Freljord. This is summer. This is the summertime, the summer season. for the Shurima, which is also a big part of the lore in League of Legends or Runeterra. And we've got it revamped with the release of Azir. We had the entire lore of Shurima kind of revamped, you know, Cassiopeia lore revamped, Severe lore revamped, and all those videos and stuff we had, they kind of bring in the lore back, because that's what Riot are trying to do. So we had the big thing with Lyssandra's release and the update of Howling Abyss for the Freljord, then we've had this for the summer with Shurima, so now we've got spring and autumn left. Let's quickly take a look at what it says for Shurima though. It says about the Shuriman, they had a whole empire, and apparently they were really advanced, and because they were so advanced, they started to become in contact with higher beings, with gods actually, and because of this they ended up going too far, fucking everything up and destroying everything because they tried too hard. Fucking tryhards. Anyway, moving on to the next one, which is the hardest one. I don't understand what this is. The powers that govern life and death are not to be trifled with. The Shattered Crown is a king's reward for defying the shadow's embrace. I believe we are meant to ponder mortality through poetry and verse, and not enslave it to our will. Now, this is the bard speaking. He says life is meant to be shown through poetry and verse. You're not supposed to enslave lives. Now, where do they enslave lives? The Shadow Isles, right? The Shadow Isles, enslaving people like Mordekaiser's enslaved a bunch of people. You know, the Shadow Isles is about enslaving mortals against their free will. Here it also says the powers that govern life and death. You know, Shadow Isles is very much so about life and death, like reviving people after death or some shit with Karthus. Unfortunately, there's just not much information here, and there really isn't much about the Shadow Isles. It's very conspicuous and mysterious. You know, for example, the blade of the ruined king is apparently the blade of a ruined king. The king of the entire Shadow Isles that controls them all. There's no lore on him, but the altars in the 3v3, the Twisted Tree line, sometimes talk about that king. So apparently there is a king of the Shadow Isles that controls them all. Apparently he was once a king. An amazing king, but he was overcome by grief. That's something that Kalista says, and that's why the Blade of the Ruined King is there, and that's apparently, maybe, where the Shattered Crown is from. Now, I'm thinking this might be autumn, you know, autumn, because leaves fall, and they go from being, you know, blossoming in the trees, they fall down or whatever. I don't know, maybe. And until then, this is all the information we have, and maybe the bards are the spring season because, you know, with spring, it brings new life. What do bards bring? Bards bring life by telling these stories. By telling the stories, they bring life. Lives that you didn't know about, stories that you didn't know about, it brings life, so it's spring. It's the 4 seasons, baby! It's Sherlock Fresco, baby! That's how we do here. Woo! I'm getting pumped for the new champion already. So make sure you subscribe to stay updated with everything about it. The Bard, it's coming. It's coming, people, it's coming. Make sure you check out the previous video to see the new ability powered item, which is pretty much an AP version of the Static Shiv, and like this video.